to use an interpreter today, but we're going to have good understanding between us. I am just back from Indonesia. I was there 31 days, had meetings in Bandung, in Semarang, in Jakarta, and I feel at home with Indonesians because I was born in Suriname, Dutch Guyana, which was a sister colony of Indonesia. So we share a Dutch heritage in that relationship. I want to start by having you tell the person next to you, would you look at them and say, Brother John thinks you look very nice. Brother John thinks you look very nice. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. Okay. I have my wife with me, Sister Pat. The microphone for Sister Pat. Hello. Where's the microphone? Okay. We start here. Let me start with you here. We're married for 63 and a half years.
February will be 64.
February 64. It might be on. Let's see. We walk down here with you. We have 5 children, 9 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. Preach the gospel across the whole world, primarily though in Asia, Singapore, Kuala Lumpur, Manila, Indonesia. And I want my wife to speak a few words to you.
Well, he didn't tell me I was going to say anything, but...
Is this on, darling?
Yes.
Is it on, Greg? Let's give Sister a little volume.
No, it's on. We're on the eve, right, of a new year. And last night I was so blessed to speak to some of the ladies that came. We had a wonderful time of bonding together, just getting to know my sisters, and there was one brother around, so it was nice to see him. But I want to tell you that we need to know that it's very, very important as we start this new year. This is what I told the ladies last night. I told them this, Psalms 139, 13 through 18, talks about before you and I were ever born, that he wrote all of the days of our life in a book. And just stop and think about that. This day, everything's been written down that the Lord wanted done for me to do today. And then to think about how in the world do we bring that about? That sounds hard, doesn't it? It does to me. To think, how can I accomplish what God wrote in my book of life? There were 3 things. We could trust in him. We could delight ourselves in him. You know what delight means? It means to stay soft and pliable in his hand, so that when he wants you to do something, he's molding you and making you into what he wants us to be, right? And he says if we'll do that, he'll put his desires in our heart. And then he says, commit your ways unto me. 3 words there. Trust, delight, and commit. I want God to someday look at me and look at all of us and say, what? Well done, my good and faithful servant. Praise the Lord. Let's start out 20 way the Lord wants us to finish it. God bless each and every one of you.
Amen. Sister, help me over. Can we bring the podium down here, please, where I can be close to you? Bring the lectern down here. We're going to learn some Bible today. Everybody like to learn some Bible truth? So now you have to communicate with me. When you say this means yes and this means no, so let's communicate. Bring my Bible, will you? We're going to have the scriptures in Indonesian on the screens, but we're going to look at a lot of scriptures. We're Bible people, and we're going to have Bible teaching. Greg, where's my apple? I brought an apple. Now, I'm not going to eat the apple, but I'm going to use it for illustration. Got a seed? Open it up, let me have a seed. Okay, that's the seed. Now, that's such a small thing, isn't it? That seed's so small. And there's maybe 6 or 7 in the apple. Anybody can count how many seeds are in the apple. Right? I mean, 6, 3, 8, 10. But can anybody count how many apples are in this seed? How many apples in this seed? Millions of apples. Millions of apples are in this seed. But if I eat it, no more apples. But if I plant it, then it grows into a tree. And every year it brings hundreds of apples. Hundreds of apples. And every apple has seed in it. And that makes more. Now, the whole system of God operates on seed time and harvest. Seed time and harvest. You remember in the 4th chapter of Mark, the sower sows the seed. Some falls by the wayside, and the birds eat it. Some falls in shallow ground, and it perishes. Some falls in with weeds, and the weeds choke it out. But some falls in the good ground, and it comes 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold increase. Now, trees have seeds, animals have seeds, humans have seeds. One time in Indonesia, there were just a few people, but they had seed. And now there's 268 million people in Indonesia. And now new Indonesian seed are in America. The census shows that there's 28,000 Indonesians registered in America now. But one day there will be millions, because each one of you brought seed with you from Indonesia. And when husband and wife come together, that seed multiplies, and there's many, many. Now, the thing that we don't understand, and it's never taught to us, is that in the Second Corinthians, okay, 2 Corinthians, the 9th chapter, in the 6th verse, it tells us that money is a seed. That money has seed power. Now, you can spend it and it's gone. or you can invest it, and it begins to grow. But God says if you give it into the kingdom of God, it comes back 30-fold, 60-fold, or 100-fold. Now, you are an immigrant population, and you're coming into a new land. But you're coming into a great land, a land of milk and honey. When we came maybe 74 years ago, when my father came with me to America, it was amazing to see the things that were in America, because there was so little where I came from. But today, this is like a wonderland you're in. Airplanes and air-conditioned houses and foods in the stores. The grocery stores are full of food. This is the land of milk and honey. And then, how many of you know that if you are Christ's, then are you Abraham's seed? Do you know that if you're Christ's, you're Abraham's seed? Did you know that Abraham was an immigrant? And he was going to the land of milk and honey. And God is bringing you, and you're in the land of milk and honey. And you're going to prosper. You're going to grow very wealthy. Now, here's something you may not know. But you're in the very beginning. You're in the very beginning of the Indonesian migration into America. You're the beginning. You're the Abrahams of the Indonesians in America. Now, let me show you this. At this time, you are one of the largest Indonesian churches in America. You say, oh, we're not very large. No, you're one of the largest Indonesian churches in America. Most Indonesian churches in America are in a house. They're not yet in church buildings. Are you understanding me? Am I being clear with you? Yes. So, 25, 50, 100 years from now, what you do here will make a difference as to whether the American Indonesian is going to be a saved people, or whether they're going to be like America is now, just scattered. If you can build the great church, faithful in your attendance, faithful in your finances, if you can do that, you begin to lay the foundation for the Indonesian church in America. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? When you get up in the morning and get dressed and come here on Sunday, it's one of the most important things you do all week, because you're establishing a tradition that 100 years from today, there will be millions of Indonesians in America. And you will own businesses. And you'll be doctors and dentists and lawyers. And you'll be rulers in the nation, rulers. But will we take Christ with us? Will the Indonesian church in America take Christ with them to the top? Or will they forget Christ and move up like without Christ? Are you understand what I'm saying to you? This is not my message. This is not my message this morning. This is just something that is in my spirit about you. You are some of the most important Indonesians in America today.